Hello and welcome back to 10 out of 10 Would Watch Again with Lauren and Russ.
Hello.
This week we're bringing you another double feature episode. This time we're doing Twister and Twisters. We know Twisters is literally just out, but we went to see it and then watched Twister straight afterwards, and there's not another thought in my brain except for, if you feel it, taste it. So, sorry guys. So, do you want to hit us with your piss, Ross?
Aye, so Twister released in May 1996, directed by Jan de Bont. Starring Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Carrie Elwes.
And Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Aye.
Alan Ruck
Aye, cool.
of Succession fame. No,
Yes. Budget of 88 million, box office of 495 million.
because it's class.
Aye. Twisters released in July 2024, directed by Lee Isaac Chung. Cool.
Class.
Aye. Starring Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos, and shout out to Big Maura Tierney. Big
Hey.
ER lady.
And your man that's going to be Superman.
Big David Corenswet.
Yeah.
Aye. Legend.
We don't know yet.
Aye. Budget of 155 million, and as of this recording, its box office is 333 million.
Yes. So, general overview of the movie. I mean,
Movies.
movies. They're both just movies about scientists chasing hurricanes. Like, there's not
Aye.
really much else. The second one tries to add in a little bit more plot, and I'm just like, gonna no,
Aye, no need for it.
gonna just chase the Twister.
Chase the Twister.
So, why do you love these movies?
And it's just nonsense disaster movies.
100%.
Like,
100%.
The second one adds too much story.
Yep.
Well, you just need them running about with tornadoes, but other than that, fantastic movies.
100%. Like, Twister is just class. It's like an hour and a half of like action, comedy, natural disasters. Like, what more do you want? Twisters is just ridiculous. Like, we went to see it last week and we both were like, this movie's shit. And then about 20 minutes later, we were like, yes.
No, you were.
I've fully been sucked in. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's nice to just leave the cinema feeling entertained.
Yeah.
Like, I've not had to, like, think about any deep issues. I've just had to watch some fannies chase a hurricane. Do you know
That's
what I
it,
mean?
aye. What they can do to stop it, which I'll get into later on.
I haven't been able to stop shouting, if you feel it, taste it. And it's getting to the point in this house where I'm shouting it and Ross just goes, taste it.
Aye, just fucking leave me out it.
Right, we'll dive into thoughts and opinions.
Aye, go for it.
For Twister's just such a Sunday movie, if you know what I mean. Like, you might be slightly rough for the weekend, you've done all your bits and bobs to get ready for the Monday, you're just chilling, you've got your snacks, you've just had your tea, you need to turn your brain off for a bit, and it's like, what better way to do it than watch Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt run about? Like, it's just such a, like, just fabulous, like, hour and a half of just, like, I don't need to think about anything, do you know what I mean? Twisters, when we were watching it, I was like a wee Doug with his tongue hanging out the window, like, just pure happy. And then there's a bit about 3/4 of the way through where it's just like, this could have been cut. This is getting a bit long now, guys. But then as soon as we left, I was like, amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've been telling everyone in my work about it. Like, I cannot stop singing that Ain't No Love in Oklahoma song. Like, Twisters it's a creeper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you'll leave Twisters being like, that was so shit. But then as soon as you tell anyone about it, you're like, it's shit, but it's great. Like,
See, that's what I've got here. Twister doesn't take itself too serious.
no.
Like, they knew what they were making. Whereas I think there's a lot of problems with a lot of modern movies is they try and have a reason
100%.
or like a message behind them.
100%.
And you don't need that when it's a bunch of hillbillies chasing tornadoes about.
Yeah, totally. And it's like the thin science that links it all. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
to see what happens inside a Twister, we need to run at it. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
It's a bit mental. So I've got some here that's a bit, it's like the comparisons of them,
Yeah,
just
hit
for
me
a
with
little
it.
bit. So first of all, worked out the average, how many tornadoes there is in each one.
Of course she did.
So in Twister, there's one on average every 15 minutes.
Shut up,
So there's
amazing.
8 tornadoes in an hour 53. In Twisters, there's one every 20 minutes with 6 tornadoes in a 2-hour, 2-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so they've added another 6 minutes or 5 minutes of story, which we don't need.
It didn't feel like there was that many twisters and twisters. Do you
No.
know what I mean? Like, there's obviously like when they all chase it. Obviously, there's the one at the start for the tragic backstory. But sorry, we absolutely should have said spoiler alert for Twisters.
Aye.
But I'm assuming if you've got to this point, you've either seen Twisters or you're no interested if it spoils
I mean,
it or
these
not.
movies are very similar.
Yeah.
Like both set in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Both there to collect tornado data.
Yeah.
And that's just like the general story.
Yeah.
There's the love interests as well. But even like the female characters, like Helen Hunt and Twister, the past where her father dying, then Daisy Edgar Jones, all her friends getting wiped out. They're very like, oh, we're not sure if we're coming back. Obviously, it's different. It's Bill Paxton's.
Yeah.
All the stuff in the first one. But I'm like, so they're similar. You've got the two storm chasing teams. Like, this is basically just the same movie set for a modern audience.
See, for all you say that though, I wanted more callbacks. Do you know what I mean? Like,
there was only one callback.
No, totally get Dorothy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because by halfway through Twisters, not even halfway through, like 10 minutes in, they're like, oh, we had Dorothy, but fuck Dorothy, we've got this new updated one. But like, I kind of wanted more, like, so apparently, I mean, I say apparently we've watched both movies, but I just never clocked. Daisy Edgar Jones is wearing the same outfit that Helen Hunt wears in Twister. And there's like loads of wee things, but there's quite a big one that I was going to save for A, so bear with me for that one.
Yeah, no,
but there's quite a big one that I was like, that was just crying out for you guys to use it, and you didn't use it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it shouldn't be that. Like that. This is a movie that should be. Do you remember this?
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
Like, no, 100%. Like, for as much as they are basically the same movie, but Twisters just kind of brings in like the YouTube generation, and like they've got a bit more high tech rather than just like plastic balls flying in the Twister. Like, I wanted a few more callbacks. But again, I know people moan about fan service, and I know it's like, that's just for the fans. It's like, yeah, I want it. I like fan service. Give me it. Do you know what I mean?
It's the whole point. Like, as soon as you heard about this, you were thinking,
absolutely,
oh, they're going to call back to so much.
Absolutely. See, as well, what you're saying about like the love interest thing, right? I do like in Twisters that I know it was cut, like their kiss at the airport, Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones' kiss at the airport was cut, and I've got a bit about that in useless information, but I actually like that it wasn't. I like that it was a lot of like kind of skirting about it and a lot of like flirting rather than like, now kiss. Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as you all want that to happen, I was, because as well, the same with like Twister, like they get back together, but that's not the point of the film. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like
it's just a subplot of it.
Yeah, totally. I like that they were just kind of skirting about each other, and then there's that moment where you think they're going to kiss, and then they just turn back and go chase the Twister, and I was like, excellent, I'm in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking, like, as I was trying to compare both of them, I mean, people say you shouldn't, but you do. I mean, it's both set in the same thing. But it's like, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton had better chemistry.
Yes.
So it makes sense for them to like have the love story in that, whereas I think Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones is not there.
Yeah.
Like, it seems a bit forced.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. Like, it's one of those things, but I don't think the modern way they do it really works.
Oh,
like,
really?
you don't really get the impression that these people are storm chasers.
Yeah.
Whereas in Twister, like,
you knew
that's just a fucking weird bunch of dudes going about chasing storms. But the supposed weird dudes, it's just YouTubers.
Yeah, and they were actually like the sound ones of the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I know that it's the same kind of vibe in Twister where there's like, they're all kind of racing each other to get to the hurricane and all this. But like, there was the real like teched out science guys, and obviously the YouTubers were supposed to be seen as like the underdogs kind of vibe, like without all the high tech and stuff. But they were the ones that were actually like helping everyone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like after they chased the hurricane, they were then going about like helping people, finding dogs, giving people food, that kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the scientists were like, do you know what I mean?
But it's just weird how in the first one there's these weirdos are doing it, but in this it's almost a putting a pedestal. You're like, I've never known anything like that. Like, have you ever seen a storm chasing YouTube channel where it's like, oh my god, this person's doing this now?
Yeah, it's
it
like,
just
okay,
doesn't
cool.
make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the storm chasing YouTube is huge in the storm chasing community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the way they going about is as if these people are like fucking massive. And I was like, that doesn't sit with me.
Oh no, 100%. But like, yeah, I mean, you and me watched a couple of storm chasing videos after going to see Twisters, and we were like, what the fuck?
It's just driving about in rain.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they don't drive into tornadoes because they're no fucking mental.
Yeah.
But it's a bit weird. They're just like, nah, I don't see this happening.
Yeah. See as well with like Twister, like the first one, there's no fanning about you're in, you're out. You've got like the decline and reconciliation of a marriage.
Yeah.
You've got the other women. You've got Dida trauma. You've got some good patter. They're all just gimps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but there's so much that they fit in amongst all of the hurricanes. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with Twisters, it's like 2 hours and a bit, and there's obviously she gets traumatized at the start because half her team gets sucked away by an F5. It wasn't supposed to be an F5 and it became one. But then there's that whole bit when she goes back home and they go into her warehouse or like her shed.
Yeah, the barn.
Yeah, the barn. That's what I meant, right? And it's like her old school project. And oh look, here's her ex-boyfriend who was sucked up into a Twister, blah blah. And it's like, did we need to know that she's been into this in school? Did we need to know that like she was getting a degree and then didn't go get it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, could it not just have been we're together because Anthony Ramos fucked me over, so let's go get it? Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as I'm glad Maura Tierney was in it, it's always great to see Maura Tierney outside the hospital, but I just feel like that whole bit could have just been edited. Like, even the fact that he's seen, or not he's seen, they tell later on that he's got a PhD.
PhD.
That's what I said.
Don't got a PTHD. That's what I'm thinking.
He's got a PhD in meteorology. But like, you didn't need to know that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just so chill with them just fanning about.
I think they've just realised is that shit, we actually haven't written any character for these characters. We have nothing for them.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Like, I don't understand why. I don't need to know what happened to her. I don't need to know what's happened to him. I don't need to know why he chases tornadoes. All I need to know is he's a YouTuber and he's chasing tornadoes.
Yep. This is like kind of what you were saying earlier on, though, is like they do try and fling in far too much backstory. Like,
it's to make it believable, and
but
it's not believable.
I don't want it to be believable. I want to
none of it is.
No, I want to go in, be entertained, and fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's like all the, like we were saying this, like all the like big monster movies and all that. And now too much story, man. Like, go away. Like, I don't need to know that Jason Statham's going through a divorce to fight the Meg. Do you know what I mean? I just want to see Jason Statham punch the Meg in the face.
Yeah, it's pointless. Another thing I've got is, like, in the first one, like how good it looks.
Yes, and it's really held up.
Yeah, like it looks phenomenal. Whereas obviously they used a lot more. It was more practical, I believe. Like they added some like CGI.
Yep.
But you kind of don't get the feeling in this one that they're in any danger.
Yeah, no.
Like it just looks like a, like I think you can tell it's almost just green screen to death.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't like the first one. It kind of is. Holy shit! This looks like. This is believable. Yeah,
totally. And it's really held up as well. Like, I think you can watch the first one and it's not dated. I mean, their clothes are dated as shit, but I just mean that, like, you could watch the first one and be like, oh, that must have came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
you can get away with it.
There's maybe a couple of bits like that tree that flies at them that looks quite cartoony.
There's some bits, but that's a given.
It's of the time, do you know what I mean? But I always think that kind of adds to it, do you know what I mean? Whereas everything now, it's like, it's plastic looking, do you know what I mean?
But you get away a lot of disaster movies, it's like, oh, this is happening, and it's like a 100-foot wall or tsunami, is it? They all do the same thing,
Yeah.
Like, come up, be original. Try and come up with something else, something like crazier.
Aye, 100%. But like, yeah, leave your backstory in that. I just want to see you like fighting a snowstorm. Do you know what I mean?
How do you survive it? Like, that's all you want to know is how you survive. No interest in, like, you can't fight it.
No.
You can't kill it, defeat it. Just survive.
This is why, to me, see, like, now Twister and Twisters are just daft, right? Like, I can watch. I think as well, I'm different with these ones because we don't really get hurricanes in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? So I feel pretty safe. But like, normally to me, natural disaster movies are horror movies to other people. Do you know what I mean? Because like, I always figure like, if you're in a horror movie, you can like leave the house. You can run away. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to live in the house with the poltergeist and the demons and shit.
Aye.
Whereas like natural disaster movies, I'm like, you can't go fucking anywhere. Like, you can't fight a volcano. You can't fight like the Poseidon Adventure. Do you know what I mean? Where you're stuck in a fucking boat. Like natural disaster movies to me, I'm pure like, but these ones I like because I think as well, like, we just don't get like hurricanes in Scotland. Like, or if there is, it's very fucking rare. Do you know what I mean?
No, it feels like it's such an American thing.
Yeah, totally.
Like, why the fuck would you live in Oklahoma?
Yeah,
like,
ain't no love in Oklahoma.
Just tornadoes every fucking everywhere you go.
100%.
You can't do it without a tornado coming.
Fuck that. I make sure your barn's made of like industrial steel.
Make sure you've got a fucking cellar. Or was it a storm cellar?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In the first one, our dad takes them into the storm cellar and then he doesn't shut the door in time and he just goes wee and like flies in.
I know, he goes for the dog, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just get a new dog.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Like, Fido 2.0 will come next week. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, that's another one as well. One of the, I don't even know if it counts as a callback, but like, do you know them? We see in the first one where Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton go into the barn and they like belt themselves to the pipes.
Aye.
See in Twisters when they go into the pool and they're like helping that mum and kid, but I mean, they're not belted to anything, but they're like hugging the pipe, and I'm like, is this supposed? Is it what? Like, do you know what I mean?
So, like, looking back, they're just kind of copying the events from the first one. Like, you even see it when it's like they're at the rodeo and the storm comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
But like in the original, Twister, it's like they're sitting for something to eat.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, like, this tornado comes, and I don't really. That's, I think, what annoyed me.
Mm-hmm.
Not annoyed me, like, I'm not annoyed at this movie in any bit, but it's like, oh, we'll just do this. There's no real originality. There's nothing new. And I don't really know in the storm chasing community if there is something new you can add. But I mean, they've been given 20 years.
Yeah. See, I don't mind it, but like, I don't mind playing the hits. Do you know what I mean? Because like, in the nicest way possible, like, what was the first of the new Star Wars movies was basically just A New Hope all over again.
Yeah, but,
and I didn't mind that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know loads of people are like, oh, do something else, but like, I don't mind, and I know it annoys loads of people, but like, I genuinely don't mind about a fan service. Like, I'm quite happy for the member. Like, even the bit, like, obviously the bit that we were just talking about in the swimming pool and stuff kind of reminds me of the bit in Twister when like the Shining's on the drive-through and then the fucking like thing goes through and all but that. I don't mind it.
I don't mind like them harking back to stuff, but add something new as well.
Yeah.
There's not really anything added. As I said, this is just updated for modern audiences.
That's what I was going to say. All they did was just update the equipment and give YouTube a shout out.
Made him a YouTuber, right? That's it. Which is, I understand why that you've done it, but see, if you want that, just watch the original. Like, just watch Twister.
Yeah. No, I get you. I kind of want to dip into a bit of like the casts, right? Like, because I'm not being funny, I'm always chuffed to see Daisy Edgar Jones like doing stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like most women, like, I know her from like our first saw her in Normal People, and like same with just bounce off Normal People. Like, it's good to see her and Paul Mescal, like they're on their rise. Do you know what I mean? And like, obviously, she's just done Twisters, which is a huge summer blockbuster. Mm-hmm. He's about to be in Gladiator 2, which, whether it's shite or not, we know it's going to be a huge. Was it Thanksgiving in America? It's coming out.
I have no idea, but it's a big.
But you know that's going to be a huge thing. Do you know what I mean? And I love when you see like people that you've seen in like a wee BBC. I know Normal People's huge, but it's like it started off as like a wee BBC thing. and now they're like bouncing on to bigger and better things. Do you know what I mean? Like she was like, it was like after Normal People, she was in like Fresh and all that. Do you know what I mean? And I like that she's doing loads of different things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like in The Next Day Possible, sorry, I'm on a Normal People rant, but like she's bouncing around different genres, whereas Paul Mescal's always kind of been the indie darling, and now is getting these big kind of blockbusters.
I mean, you say Paul Mescal's Oscar nominated Paul Mescal now.
Yeah,
Like that'll
true.
be in front of everything, every credit he's on now.
That's an extra 0 at the end of everything. And like Glenn Powell as well. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan, but he is everywhere. But I know like he's a funny one because he's apparently been a thing for years. Like he was in that Scream Queens TV show. I watched like the first couple of episodes, didn't get into it, but he's been going since like Spy Kids 3 or 4 or something like that. He was like a wee guy in Spy Kids 3 or 4. I can't remember what Spy Kids it is, but and he's been solid working, because we were looking him up, because I was saying that to you. I was like, I feel like he's only just kind of become a thing, but it's not. He's been going for years.
I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
He was in Top Gun Maverick, and then he was no, we never watched it. I've never even seen Top Gun 1, sorry guys. But like he was in that, which obviously Top Gun Maverick was huge. Like that's like the film that was supposed to have like reinvented cinema after COVID, do you know what I mean? And then he was in that, is it Anyone But You or Anyone Else But You or something, that Sydney Sweeney thing, like that was everyone was having part about. But he's now kind of like everywhere. Like Veronica told me he looked like a capybara in human form, and I can't unsee it. But like them compared to like Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, now obviously we were young when we've seen, like we've not we were kids when
we weren't old enough to remember this coming out.
Appreciate Bill Paxton and that, but like Bill Paxton as well was like a solid grafter, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was in like everything, and like anything that's got has the line delivery in it, I'll take it, do you know what I mean?
Oh fuck, aye.
Same with Helen Hunt, like she was just your pure 90s darling, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's always something about Helen Hunt, but I feel like she could take you, do you know what I mean? Like I like when she's in a film, she's always like a dominant woman, do you know what I mean? She's like wet, do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, both of these movies are kind of run by the women.
Yeah, totally. They try and do that thing with Daisy Edgar Jones where it's like, I'm not coming back, man, like blah blah blah, and it's like, no, shut up, get in there, show them who's boss. Do you know what I mean? Because Twister has like, see, for all like Twisters, obviously I've just spoke about Daisy Edgar Jones and or as not Twisters, what is it my dad calls it, Twister Squared. Like it's well, obviously I've just spoke about Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell, but like for now, like obviously you've got Anthony Ramos, whether you love her or hate him for personal reasons, like
I don't think a lot of people would know about it.
See, right, okay, maybe it's just because I'm a wee musical theatre gimp, but like it's nice to see, well, no, fuck him, but like, and then you've got your guy who is going to be Superman and stuff. I didn't know that was who that was until you said. You were like, oh, do you know he's going to be Superman? And also for him about to be Superman, he's a torn-faced bastard in Twisters, do you know what I mean?
It seems weird. Like he seemed out of place in this movie.
Yeah, he's just he's just pure doer. But like obviously Twister is like a pure stacked cast. Like that was like one of Philip Seymour Hoffman's like earlier ones. Obviously Alan Ruck, which for better or worse is always going to be Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Jamie Gertz as well, who was like one of the absolute smoking hotties from the 80s, do you know what I mean? I always get her mixed up with maybe they are. No, it's not. There's Jamie Gertz, is it Jamie Gertz that was in Lost Boys and Ferris Bueller, and then there's the other one who looks exactly like her.
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I have
but
no
like,
idea.
do you know what I mean? There's two of them that look really similar.
Yeah.
Unless they were both Jamie Gertz, then I apologise, Jamie Gertz. I've just absolutely like told your career. Aye, sorry guys.
No, fair dues.
It's always nice as well to see our wee Abby from ER. Like, she's always going to be Abby from ER. You were like, oh, there's our big Alki Morituri. I'm like, I think she was just an Alki in ER, Ross.
She played it well.
I don't like getting about that's come out.
Yeah, that. She played it well. Can't really argue that.
Do you know another thing that I don't know if it gives points to Twisters, right? But see, like obviously the soundtrack of Twisters is everywhere. That Ain't No Love in Oklahoma is everywhere.
There's hundreds of them.
What a banger. but like I love that all of the singers and bands that are in the soundtrack they were just like, okay, your song's going to be in Twisters, go with that, and they all understood the assignment because all the songs are like, your love was like a stormy day, you know, this kind of thing, and like all of the songs are like weather related, and I love a theme, and I love when people stick to the bit. Do you know what I mean? I've got one last one for you, right? So obviously Twister has been out since 1996. It's like stacked, and everybody likes Twister. Do you know what I mean? It's just daft. Twisters has obviously just came out last month. Do you know what I mean? Last month. July. I'm like, what year is it? Obviously it's pretty new. It's pretty fresh. Do you think Twisters will be as much of a 10 out of 10 would watch again as much as Twister is?
No, far from it.
Do you think? But it'll be like a double bill kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I think.
I don't know. I'd rather stick to Twister. I think in this they try and act too much. Like they took this far too serious.
Yeah.
It's like even obviously in the originals, like as you said, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is an actor's actor.
Yeah, he is an actor or was an actor.
Like they just got it. And is it? You know what? Like
we're here for a good time. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I know. Apparently they were having fucking issues filming that. Fair enough, but like they knew that. Oh, this is what this movie needs.
100%.
You don't want all the. Oh, we need to act like this, do this, and do that. Is it? Just fucking go and chase tornadoes or pretend to chase tornadoes at that.
Totally. I agree. I think Twisters will be it'll be part of the double bill. Do you know what I mean? Like there's loads of movies where you do the marathons of and it's like, oh, that one's kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? But you watch it anyway because why would you not? But I think Twisters is obviously having its moment right now. I think obviously TikTok's got a lot to do with that. Yeah. I think the Glen Powell thirst traps have got a lot to do with that. But I think this movie will kind of, like, I probably won't be listening to Ain't No Love in Oklahoma in like 3 months' time. Actually, do you know what? It's me, so I probably will.
I don't see this movie, Twisters, having the staying power that Twister has. Like, you don't really get to hear about it and say, oh, fuck, that movie's great.
Yeah.
But as you get with Twisters, it's just you just know what you're in for with Twister.
Yep.
But with Twisters, it's, as I said, there's too much side shit in it rather than them just going after and doing crazy shit with tornadoes.
Totally. I think, sorry, I'm going straight back to it, to moaning about it. But I think Twister has more like great set pieces, if you know what I mean. When they're like driving through the house, when they're on the barn, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Like as soon as you talk about Twister, that's like the bits you're thinking of. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously the original when like Dorothy, all the wee balls go up and all this kind of thing. With Twisters, there's not really any bits that like I proper remember. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously the cinema bit was really cool at the end. The swimming pool bit was nuts, but like there wasn't really the huge set pieces.
Right, this movie's not about the tornadoes themselves and what happens. It's about the people, and that's where it loses points for me, and why it won't be remembered, because we don't need character studies on these people. We need them fucking being hillbillies chasing tornadoes and weirdos.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally agree. Yeah, I think Twisters is more of like a stepping stone for these actors. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like it's like a flex. Do you know what I mean? Of like, well, you've seen him in this, go see him in this. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like Twister was just, everybody was already really successful, so they were just like, fuck it, let's make this film. Do you know what I mean?
I get that paycheck.
100%. Will we dive into favourite scene?
Aye, go for it.
Stunning. Do you want to go first?
Well, for Twister, it's going to be the big set piece, the drive through the house. It's just fucking mental.
Totally.
And you see all the behind the scenes stuff in that now that's been coming
Paxton
out.
Bouncing about it. Yeah.
That's my favourite one. For Twisters, it's the fire tornado scene. That's the only thing I've seen in that movie. And is it? Oh, that's new.
Totally.
It's like you didn't see that. That's the only thing I could look at and be like, nah, that didn't happen in Twister.
Yep.
Everything else, I'd be like, right, I've seen that in Twister. As I say, just watch Twister, everybody. Like, fuck Twisters, watch Twister. Twister's just far better. What about you?
For me, for Twister, it's either, I'm the same as you, it's either the bit where they drive through the house or It's the bit where they're all at her aunt's house, like eating the scran, because that scran looked great, and just talking shite about Twisters. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm the same as you. Like, the house bits just clashed. Do you know what I mean? But for Twisters, you know what I'm gonna say. It's the if you feel it, chase it. Where Ain't No Love in Oklahoma in the background, but as well. That kind of leads into it, like, so that bit leading into when they skip in front of the scientists and go into the first one and they're like sending the fireworks up and all that. I quite like that. Like, I like that they're just there for a buzz. Do you know what I mean? See, whereas like all the scientist guys like, me get this, but they're just like, nah, fuck it, let's throw some fireworks up a Twister.
But that's the thing. That scene itself, that is just set up to market the movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's too much of that. And it's not just this movie. They all do it now. They all have the quippy bits, the one-liners, and that. So, that's a trailer bit.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating. Like, these movies shouldn't be that. There shouldn't be that much to put into it. I mean, I'm not saying these guys didn't work hard. Obviously, they worked hard.
Yeah, of course.
But surely it can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell, man.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. We'll jump into useless information. I've just kind of picked the kind of best bits because I know obviously like it's very well documented on how hard they all found it to film the first Twister.
Yeah.
Like, they all had like a pure graft with like the heat and all that. Like, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt got like retinal burns because like the sun was bouncing off the things that made the effects and all this kind of thing. And I think as well with Twisters was supposed to come out like 2021, and obviously because of the pandemic, because of our old COVID, like it was kind of held back, and bits were filmed and then had to be refilmed and things. So I think and then obviously had your writer's strikes too. So that was why this movie.
Writers for that movie.
But that was why that movie was like super delayed. But I think it's funny as well, and you and me were actually saying this, is it's really interesting watching movies that are coming out recently because you can tell what ones are COVID movies and what ones are filmed after COVID.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's scenes in this movie where everyone is like miles apart from each other, do you know what I mean? And there's like loads of movies that have came out recently where it's like, it's you that points it out to me, it's like, if you can only see two people in a scene and they're standing relatively far away from each other, it's like, COVID, do you know what I mean? So that's kind of the big bits, but they're like super well documented, so I've just kind of picked out the wee kind of shitey bits that like everyone will have a laugh with.
Yeah.
So Twister was actually the first movie released on DVD.
Nice.
Which has also made it a 10 out of 10 watch again because it's always been there. Like, the sound of the tornadoes in Twister was a slowed down and reversed camel's moan. That's how they made the sound.
All right.
I thought that was mad, and then I looked up. There's actually a video on YouTube of how it's done, and it's actually really cool.
Okay.
So Tom Hanks was originally supposed to play Bill Paxton, but dropped out by pre-production, saying that he couldn't be as eccentric as the character required. Tom Hanks, take a day off.
Like, Bill Paxton's famous for being very eccentric.
Bill Paxton gives a great line reading. Do you know what I mean? Game over, man. Game over. I don't know why he was from fucking. I don't know where that came from. Mel Gibson, Dennis Quaid, Michael Keaton, Kevin Costner, and John Travolta were also considered for the Bill Paxton role.
Oh, right, okay.
Laura Dern was also up for the Helen Hunt role, but I kind of feel like Laura Dern's a discount version of Helen Hunt and vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, fuck aye.
In Twister, a jet engine from a Boeing 707 was used to create the strong winds during the hurricanes, but then this also led to like loads of different injuries. Like, so obviously it was supposed to be like
everyone's blasting you back.
Yeah, totally. Like, Philip Seymour Hoffman like wasn't stable enough when the engine went off, and apparently, now I say apparently, it is in the film, I just never clocked, but there's a bit where he proper like stumbles back and somebody needs to grab him because the wind's that gone. And there was loads of people getting like cut in the face with like branches and debris and all this kind of thing. Obviously by Twisters we have CGI, do you know what I mean? But Twister is a more practical effect movie. Bill Paxton's son plays the angry hotel guest in Twisters. He's the one. No,
Oh, the one complaining.
yeah, yeah. And then him and his bird get in the car, even though they're like, "Don't get in the car."
Yeah, get fucked up.
Yeah, and obviously The Shining is playing in Twisters in the drive-through. They tried to get the rights again to have The Shining in Twisters, and it never happened. So that's why when they're in the cinema, is it Frankenstein or something? It's like an old.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so they wanted to stay on the horror theme, but they couldn't really get the rights to certain things. So
That's
it's like a 1930s like horror. I think it's Frankenstein. I can't really remember. At the rodeo, Kate is wearing the same outfit that Helen Hunt wears in Twister. And there was a scene with Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell having their first kiss, but producers felt it took away from her reclaiming her love of storm chasing, so they cut it out from the theatrical release.
Fuck off.
I know. I was like, guys, calm down. Now kiss.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah. And like the Jamie Gertz, sorry, I've got more useless information for Twister than Twisters, but there's not really a lot of information about Twisters because it's so new.
Just out,
the famous Jamie Gertz line in Twister that I gotta go, we have Cal, was like totally ad-libbed. She was like, what? Like, and apparently like there's like bits where you can see Bill Paxton turn around and look at her and be like, what the fuck was that? Because she just came out with it. But then obviously that's became one of the classic lines of Twister.
I know, felt this.
So you can't go wrong. Obviously, if I had more useless information about Twisters, but a lot of the things I could find about Twisters was more just that how much it was a bastard filming, like over COVID and all the kind of writer strikes and all this kind of thing. We're kind of seeing that with a lot of movies though right now. Like obviously Twisters was shite but great, but loads of movies right now, if they're not very good or if they're not getting the reception they want, they're like, oh yeah, it was affected by the writer strikes. And it's like, or was your movie just not that good? Do you know what I mean? Sorry, that's such a tangent.
But there's a lot of stuff that, as you said, obviously that all movies have been affected for the past 5 years or so.
5 years, yeah.
And they need money. So they need to release them half finished, half written, whatever.
Totally.
So it's not ideal, is it?
Totally. There's like bits like in movies like that have been out as well where it's like you're like, did nobody even say take two? Do you know what I mean? Like there's bits where you can hear them saying like the actual actor's name and all that, and you're like, ooh, like, do you know what I mean?
Just laziness.
Yeah, totally. Will we dive in 80?
Alright, go for it.
Have you got? I've only got 2.
I've got 3 here.
Oh, okay.
So mine's is mostly for Twisters.
Okay. Mine's is for Twister.
Aye. Right, so I'll go with Twisters one then. See her plan to like dissipate the tornadoes, kill a tornado, if you will.
With what it's like salt water basically
Ion
she uses
thing
into
to make it rain.
Yep.
Plus whatever other, right? So all science shit, all nature shit.
That's far too above our pay grade.
How has nobody figured that out yet?
Was it before her?
Because they seem to do it very quickly.
Yeah.
But through all the years, I mean, 96, so you've got 28 year or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else has thought of that. And
like as well, like bouncing off the back of yours, like obviously at the start of Twisters, they're still using Dorothy, they're still using the silver balls, and it's like in 20 years nobody's found a better way to do it than actually just silver balls. Like, oh shit, sorry.
That's my next one is.
Right.
So see the storm warning thing for Twister, the whole plan of it is to give them 15 minutes.
Yep.
I take it once they got that information, they didn't do it in the first one.
Yeah.
Because that tornado just happens rapid
and at the rodeo. Like, fuck, yeah.
So how? So Dorothy must not have worked. So why are they still using it?
Yeah, totally.
Like they seem to forget that the whole point of Twister was to have the alarms, like the warning system. What the fuck did they do with that information? Because they succeeded at the end.
Yeah, totally.
Like, they got all the stuff they needed. Did they just not do it with?
Yeah, because that one at the rodeo in Twisters, like, it's like a leaf blows onto the rodeo and then 2 seconds later there's a big fucking hurricane.
By the time it happens, then they start the warning. Is it? I thought this was maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Gives you, well, should give you plenty of time to get away.
Look at you. Yeah,
it's a bit, just think about it. So we're just dinging a hole in the first one, essentially.
Yeah.
And my last one is, what was Glenn Powell's like motivation like to do this?
What do you mean?
Because he doesn't like they go like he's a YouTuber. Is he a YouTuber? Or is it a storm chaser to like help them? Because he doesn't really give any. He doesn't talk about like storm prevention.
Yeah.
Like, they're saying, "Oh, I'm giving shirts away." Is it? cool. Oh, we're feeding these people.
What
and
is it? It says this isn't but this is my first tornado or something like
but
that.
I'm sitting there being like, you going about you care now? I said, but on his YouTube channel, if you will, he doesn't really talk anything about, guys, like, this is what you need to do. It's just more, look at us.
Look at us driving into this tornado.
They wait until the destruction's already happened. It's like, you'll have a meal.
Yeah.
Is it that? And I've just got, how believable is Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones as Storm Chasers? They're too clean looking. Do you get what I mean?
Totally
they're too pretty
totally
to be Storm Chasers. That might be the problem because of the first one. It's like,
but they're all a bit rugged in the first one. Do you know what I mean?
Weird, like, not weirdos. That's a harsh.
No, but they are.
I like they're kind of like just like to the side a bit. And this is kind of, Glenn Powell's not a Storm Chaser.
Yeah, see as well though, like to bounce off your previous point because you've just fucking dived straight into this one because I've got thoughts and opinions about this one. For the last one about like what's his motivation, like obviously it kind of hits on that he's got his PhD.
Thank
you. PhD.
Fucking hell, man.
I know. You can tell I fucking don't have a PhD. And a PhD in meteorology, but then like he's never really done anything with it. He's obviously just bouncing about storm chasing.
Became a YouTuber,
but then when he helps Daisy Edgar Jones get her research up and running, like he seems to be like the missing fucking element of like the equation she couldn't quite solve and all that, and it's like fuck off. Like, and as well, like you say, like there's like they're just quite happy chasing the hurricane, and then straight after it it's like, oh, here's a meal, 2 seconds about we're talking all that. Obviously kind of the bit in Twisters that the scientists are the arseholes, like they're the ones. What is it? He's like an insurance guy or a land.
That buys up all the land of the destruction.
Yeah,
they're the baddies, if you will.
Yeah,
if there is baddies in this.
Aye,
but I can
a thin line. Yeah.
But they're clear cut. The bad, the bad. They're in the wrong anyway, right? Whatever way you see it.
Yeah.
But Glenn Powell's character, I don't know, man. There's something. He's doing this for his own gain. Like I don't see he's not helping anybody.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just Glenn Powell's face though. Like, see on you, like on.
I think it's just the character they've written. It's so there's no depth or anything. It's just why's there. I liked him as a kid.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you feed it, write it.
But there's nothing there to. He really tells that he seems a genuine, like sound guy.
See on your last point that you just made about that they're all too good looking to be storm chasers, like there's something about Glenn Powell that like he seems just really smarmy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's an arrogance about him that I just can't get behind, and I know there's about 1 million lassies on TikTok right now that would punch me in the face. Do you know what I mean? But like there's just it's do you know what I mean when it's like too American? Like, see, whereas, like, Wyatt Russell is, like, an all-American guy.
Yeah.
Like, Wyatt Russell looks like he's been playing American football his whole life and just kind of bounced into acting. Whereas Glenn Powell looks super American, but in that kind of, like, cocky, overly arrogant sense. Do you get
I
what I mean?
I get you.
And I get what you mean about Daisy Edgar Jones. Like, obviously, she's a bit too put together. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, obviously, in the first one, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, they were a bit weathered. They were a bit rough-looking, like... And they were ready to like leap at a moment's notice, whereas the two of them are like, oh, give us a minute till I fix my eyebrows and then we'll go. Do you know what I mean?
You just know nothing bad's going to happen to them.
Yeah, there's no threat. Yeah. And see that one, but my favourite bit was when we watched Twisters. When he leaves Daisy Edgar Jones' house and it's raining and he's got his jacket in his arm, a white t-shirt and a cowboy hat, and as he's walking, the rain's soaking through his t-shirt, and you so loudly in the cinema was like, oh, get to fuck. I was pushing myself. You were so loud.
It's blatantly obvious though. I mean, come on to fuck, guys.
Get over yourself, my man. We get it. You're chiseled. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, they would be going after not if Daisy Edgar Jones came out in a bikini. They were like, what he's doing, mate?
100%.
Come on, fuck, lads.
100%.
Like, there's plenty of the crowd and there's plenty of the crowd, man. Like, it's like, just even the stupidity of it, like, take off what they're trying to do. Is it pissing the rains? I'll just wear my t-shirt. So let the
just
motor.
Carry my jacket.
Then the next scene, he's fucking bone dry. Chase yourself.
I think as well, like, as much as like obviously Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were like huge Hollywood like stars back in their day, but like they looked relatable, if you know what I mean. Like they looked like Bill Paxton looks like somebody's uncle. You know what I mean?
I get you.
And it's like they look like real people. Whereas, no, that sounds daft, but like,
Normal people.
yeah. Don't talk about normal people. But like, yeah, they look like your average guy. Whereas Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell, even Anthony Ramos as well, it's like, oh, he's got long hair. But there's not one mark on his face. There is not a pore to be seen.
Yeah, there's nothing to show that we live this weird life.
Yeah, even the Storm Chasers in Glenn Powell's crew, like, oh, one of them's got like a mad pixie cut, and that's supposed to be quirky and alternative.
Yeah, this
and all that.
alt lifestyle they live is just right, cool.
You're all just a bit clean. Yeah.
Or you're just playing at it.
Yeah.
Which they are, obviously, because they're acting, but in the original, you could think some of them they are Storm Chasers. Like,
yeah.
You could feel it.
Totally.
Almost.
If you feel it, chase it. So Matu are about Twister, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier on in thoughts and opinions, right? So we'll circle the loop. Close the loop, circle back. You know what I mean.
Whatever.
So in Twister, Jamie Gertz says that she's pregnant and it's supposed to be Bill Paxton's baby, right? Even though Bill Paxton then fucks her off to get back with his ex-wife, right? So I was waiting for either Glenn Powell or Daisy Edgar Jones to be that kid. Like, that was the callback. It was right fucking there. It was in the palm of their fucking hand, and they didn't do anything with it. Because before we went to see this film, a couple of guys in my work had went to see it, and I was like, oh, this is what I think's going to happen. I think one of them's going to be Jamie Gertz and Bill Paxton's kid. Is that a thing? And they were all like, spoiler alert, no. And I was like, really? Like,
other than Dorothy, as we said, there's nothing in this
totally,
to
like,
tie it back.
It was right there, and I'm just like, why? I don't know, maybe it was too obvious, but like, the movie's basically a direct rip of the original. Yeah. Really, like, if we're going to go, like, fall into it, really go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they turned around and been like, I Glenn Powell's Bill Paxton's Wayne, I'd have been like, absolutely. Of course he was. Yeah, of course he was. And then this is my last one, right? So obviously at the start of the movie, Bill Paxton and Jamie Gertz are going to get Helen Hunt to sign the divorce papers, and then over the course of the movie, they reconcile, they nip, the marriage is back on, poor Jamie Gertz is fucked, right? Do you think their marriage survives again, or do you think it's just the adrenaline flinging them back together? Like, because he's basically now going to have to go back to his pregnant girlfriend and be like, by the way, do you know what I mean? Like, by the way, I'm going back to my wife.
But I don't know, because they've got all their stuff for the tornado chasing, right?
Yep.
Do they still keep chasing tornadoes after the first one? Because remember they talk about, oh, I'm going to lead this.
Yep.
No, you're going to do this.
Yep.
I want to do this. Is it? So do they just go and study the data now?
Yeah, or do they keep going with it?
Yeah, because you don't have to do this anymore. Not you don't have to, but
you've got
everything you need.
Yeah, and if you want to kind of follow back,
like,
you can go back.
The whole point was we need to do this to get this information.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, he needs to get a job anyway because he's got child support to pay.
Aye, he's whether he stays with Jamie Gertz or not, he
owes money.
Yeah, he's got mouth to feed. But I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, our marriage is failing, and then there's that whole like, chasing this isn't going to bring your dad back and all this kind of vibe, and then they get back together at the end and nip, and then end of film, and it's like, I know it's supposed to be like, oh, and they got back together, that's very nice, and I'm like, did they though, or is that just the sheer adrenaline of not dying in an F5 Twister? Do you know what I mean?
I've got a question for you then.
Hit me with it.
Is Bill Paxton a good dad in this movie? He can't be, can he?
What, like if
once that kid's born, if him and Helen Hunt stay together, you can't be looking after that kid, like, at any point.
True, if he's busy storm chasing, because she's quite uptight and clean cut. I can't imagine she'd be like, I ain't bother away and chase twisters with your dad. You know what I mean?
Does he just abandon his kid? I'd like to have seen that in Twisters. Is it? My dad's Bill Paxton, whatever the guy's name is. He's a dick.
Arsehole Pides.
Very interested in chasing storms. That's why I chase storms.
Yeah. Fuck's sake, Twisters, we've just wrote it for you there.
That's more character than what they give them anyway.
Totally.
Other than
I'm really good looking my chisel jaw.
I was young and I seen a storm and I liked it. Well done.
Do you like a PlayStation?
Aye, that's PlayStation? It. All that rapper music into it.
I've heard it and I like it. Like, I 100%. I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's a bit like, because I think obviously like now watching it, I'd be fucking billing if you went away with another woman, got her pregnant, and then came back after and was like, oh, by the way, I'm getting back with you after this Twister. Fuck off.
It's
like,
pretty weird.
I feel like that's just an adrenaline nip of like, we didn't die, now carry on. Do you know what I mean?
It's fucked.
And
doesn't make sense at all.
Nah, lot of pish. Like, that's all me for A. Will we dive into best kill, worst kill? Have you got anything?
I don't have it in best kill, worst. I mean, they get sucked up.
Yeah. I kind of had our. This sounds awful, but for best kill, I kind of had our dad. Like in the first one, like he just fucking goes like, "Wee." Like,
I don't really.
I mean, you could say the same for like the dickheads and twisters when they get in the car and then the car goes up.
They just all kind of die the same.
Yeah, there's only really one way you can die in a Twisters film, apart from Mind in Twisters when that. I mean, it doesn't get him, but it almost does the vending machine, and you think it's going to crush him, and he doesn't.
Do you see anybody dying because of stuff coming out of the tornadoes in any of them? I can't think it now.
Not really, just like.
I think that'd be a way they could
Twisters.
Make it different.
In Twisters, I was trying to think if there's anything about like because they're obviously in the cinema, as the cinema's getting blown apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but there's that. Actually, wait a minute. I'm going to jump back to A for 5 minutes. Right, you're in a town, and what is it? Katiwa or something like that is the name of the town in Twisters.
I can't remember. Hi.
You're in a town in a tornado. A tornado land, right? Like there's tornadoes.
Tornado bit.
Yeah. Chop. But like you have no basements in your tornado-ridden bit. Do you know what I mean?
We said this. If you're at a place with a high risk of tornadoes,
why is not everyone get a basement?
That should be made into a shelter. Every place should have a shelter.
100%.
Like, that should be a law.
That bit in the cinema, like no. The bit in Twisters where they're
in the cinema,
and they're like, oh, there's no basement, we just need to cling to the chairs and hope for the best. Like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you live somewhere, well, I mean, again, we can just say this as people who don't live anywhere where Twisters come. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, it was just mad to me that nobody really seemed prepared. No. And I just kind of feel like if you lived somewhere where tornadoes were very common, you would be prepared. Because she was in Twister, do you know what I mean? They had a storm shelter.
You would think so, wouldn't you? Especially in Oklahoma. Yeah. Them have been happening that bad for 20 plus years in the movie universe anyway. I know, I'll give you that.
Anyway, we'll jump back to the best kill, worst kill. I was just like, I don't know, I think. My worst kill was just wee Dorothy. Poor man out for Dorothy. Nah. Just poor man out for the wee silver buzz. Do you have a worst guy whose hairline's receding?
I've got David Corenswet in this one.
Oh, your man, right?
Yeah, I just don't think it's. I don't know. It's something off about him.
He's just very dour in it in Twisters. Yeah, like he's just very like as much as you were saying earlier on that like all the other characters are kind of flat. He is very one note. Yeah. He's like, I have a dour face and I am a scientist and I don't care about the people, I care about the money. Like, it's very one note. Do you know what I mean?
You need to have some really fast, because I've got here thinking maybe like a Bill Hader type or something playing that.
Yeah,
you don't need. I mean, obviously, I can't really base him or the Superman stuff based on this because he's hardly in it. But when he's in it and you hear him, you're like, oh my god, you look bored.
Yeah,
like, what's the point?
He does, doesn't he? He does look really bored in it. Yeah, like, give him a bit of, like, there's nothing wrong with a bit of humour. Like, Glenn Powell doesn't need to have all of the zingers. The zingers can be spread about. Do you know what I mean?
That and the first one, Oscar Carey Elwes, just a prick in it.
Yeah, add Carey Elwes as well. Fuck you, Carey Elwes.
Just an arsehole. Like, you can't really. He's an arsehole.
Yeah, Carey Elwes is always a prick.
Oh, I fucking love Carey Elwes. Anytime he's in something, I'm here for it, but then you remember, you're an arsehole. Yeah, you're an arsehole whenever new day.
Totally. That's a couple of Carey Elwes movies we've done on the pod.
Aye. Who have you got then after, for Twisters?
I've got Anthony Ramos. Fuck that guy. As a character in Twisters, just a dickhead, do you know what I mean? And his story's so vague, do you know what I mean? It's like, I just joined the military and then became a scientist in the military and now they've just gave me all this shit. And 100%. Because then he's like, I'm only working with this land developer so that I've got money for this science project. And it's like, aren't the military giving you money for this science project? And also on a personal level, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? For anyone that's not in musical theatre, he was in Hamilton. He was engaged to Jasmine, who was also in Hamilton, and he cheated on her on Christmas Day.
Days.
After they were engaged. So
Terrible.
fuck you, Anthony Ramos. And also fuck you for In the Heights as well, okay? Like, yeah, fuck him. Like, do you have a who's in a different movie?
David Corenswet again.
Yeah,
Like, he's so off-putting in this film.
Yeah. I had Philip Seymour Hoffman, but not in a bad way. I had, love Philip Seymour Hoffman in Twister, but I could also see him in, a Vince Vaughn stoner comedy kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? He's just, pure wilded out of the back. That's another thing, though. He's very touchy-feely with Jamie Gertz. So I wonder if Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt get back together, does Jamie Gertz get with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No.
And they just become this weird,
she's not living that life.
Yeah, not true.
No chance.
Leave it alone, right? I was spitballing and I went with it. Do you have an I'm out?
I mean, with Twisters, there's a tornado every 14 minutes. How can you be out? It's what did I say, 8? So 8 set pieces.
Yep.
So no. But with Twisters, the end. I just find the end pointless.
I see the end. I don't mind. In Twisters, I'm the same as you. Twister, I'm not out at all. I will sit there. Do you know what I mean? And watch because you're not bored watching Twister.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They do not fanny about in that movie. It's douche. Twisters, and as much as I love Maura Tierney, I'd cut her whole bit.
Yeah, you don't need it.
I don't need to know that Daisy Edgar Jones ducked out on her degree. I'm not saying PhD again. Oh no, I just didn't. I meant.
How does she get that job as she works for one of the weather companies, doesn't she?
Yeah. After she loses her crew, she goes and works in a weather company place.
How does she get that job? Analysing
a weather company place. The fucking Met Office.
No, it's not the Met.
That's what is that? No,
is that not the British one? Regardless,
yeah, the weather place.
how does she get that job without a degree? You can't just say I'm really smart. I just know this because here's a bit of paper that proves it.
100%.
Another fucking lie.
That whole bit with Maura Tierney when they're showing her school project and all that shit, and Glenn Powell comes in, I would just cut that. She doesn't need this deep moment of realization to realize she can stop it. That whole 20-minute segment could have been put into 5 minutes of just a conversation, a bit of exposition. Do you know what I mean?
The idea that students for a university have figured this out, but all these major companies haven't.
Yeah.
Nah.
I put some salt water up a tornado and it'll disappear. Do you know what I mean?
Do that. Fire off this solution and it'll work. And is it? Surely, people have got to have thought of this.
Yeah.
That
totally.
That baffles me how a wee lassie at the time. I mean, but uni, so early 20s, late teens.
Yeah.
No, this will work. Is it? You'd have been hired by the government. Anybody be make this work.
100%. Somebody's phoning you. Do you know what I mean?
You're not just sitting there, but that's not just sitting there lying, vacant for years. Fuck off.
Collecting store in a fucking warehouse. Absolutely not. Nah, class. Anyway, no, I'm with you though that just to round out this whole podcast, both movies are good, but Twister is better.
Twister anytime, aye.
Twister's already stood the test of time. I don't know if Twisters will. Nah. I don't know if Twisters is just a kind of 5-minute flash in the pan of here's some TikTok edits and here's some funny videos of them doing hot ones. Do you know what I mean? Which actually that video is fucking hilarious.
There'll be something out a couple of weeks or months that people forget Twisters.
Yeah.
But never forget Twister.
No.
Forget Twister at your own peril, people. At your own peril.
We do have, there's some good movies coming out by the end of the year though that I think are going to have a lot of the same kind of buzz. I do feel do you know when there's that bit in the Oscars where they go through every film that's been out this year? I think Twisters is going to be, oh yeah, that came out last year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I already feel Twisters has been out for ages and it's only been out for a month. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another double feature episode. We'll see you again next week. And if you've got any thoughts and opinions, obviously catch us over on 10 out of 10 would watch again on Instagram and 10 out of 10 would watch again on YouTube.
Yep.
Fire in those comment sections, except please be nice. We're sensitive. And we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
Twisters are doing it for themselves.